Hey everybody, it's Dr. Sam, and I want to welcome you to another Eye Clarity podcast. This is a show where I'm going to be talking about neuroplasticity. I recently led a retreat called the Vision Sanctuary Retreat, and I'm giving you about 9 minutes of really interesting information on the relationship between neuroplasticity and your vision. So I hope you enjoy the show. Thanks for tuning in. I want to start with a topic called neuroplasticity. And this is an important subject because in the world of neuroscience, there's a lot of research on the plasticity in our body, our brain, and our vision. Another term for this could be brain plasticity or neural plasticity, and it's the ability of the neural networks in the brain and the nervous system to change through growth and reorganization. Another way to say it is that neuroplasticity is the eye-brain's ability to modify, change, and adapt both structure and function throughout life and in response to experience. And if you give the eyes a different kind of food, whether it's nutrient-based or energetically based, you can actually create changes. So neuroplasticity can affect or it reflects the health of our nervous system and fluid body. So the more responsiveness we have, the better our health. If we're kind of numbed out or we're not responding, then it reflects some level of stagnating energy. There's a lot of research on neuroplasticity. You could go on YouTube or just look into the literature. One of the PhDs that I've followed is a guy named Greg Recanzone. He's a PhD Associate Dean at UC Davis. And he and his team in research found that you can actually change the eyes. The adult brain can change, provided you get certain conditions, and those conditions will be what I discuss. So I want to bring in Stephen Porges and the Polyvagal theory. This is a very groundbreaking body of research and writings that Dr. Porges has done over the years. And what he's discovered is an explanation on how the nervous system develops and evolves and gives us that neuroplasticity potential. And one of the things that Dr. Porges highlights, there are many aspects to the polyvagal theory, but the fight, flight, freeze response and the reptilian to mammalian evolution that we as humans go through. And one of the keys is developing social engagement, which stimulates this development. And one of the keys in social engagement is eye contact. So we start off with a reptilian response, fight, flight, freeze, and then through the vagus nerve, which connects our head with our body, we start moving more into this empathic capability, but we have to go through certain experiences to be able to make that leap. For many people, they either stay stuck in the survival reptilian response, and when they do, it affects their sensory motor system, their nervous system, their biochemistry, their endocrine health. And one of the things that I talk about is called interoception. That means how well we're able to go inside and be aware. And the better we're able to have interoception, this allows us to begin to soften the defense strategies that are hardwired in us, and then we can move to a higher cognitive and brain sensory motor level, and we move more into this empathic or mammalian response. We actually experienced that this morning when we did the Palm Hum exercise. You all moved out of some thread of fight, flight, freeze and into more of a mammalian response. And we're going to build on that in a little bit. So here's a picture of me just a few years out of school, no gray hair. And I published an article on trauma. Trauma from either the brain or the eyes. And early in my career, I was starting a practice in the Philadelphia area, and I had difficulty getting patients because the area that I was practicing in was very allopathically medically oriented, and there were a lot of traditional ophthalmologists in that area. And so people were not ready to necessarily hear the message from me, which is you can improve your vision. So I went to one of the local hospitals and I talked to the physiatrist there who ran the outpatient clinic for trauma patients. And I volunteered to help his patients by doing this type of physical therapy that I had learned. And over a period of 3 months, I helped people get rid of double vision. I helped them improve their balance, their memory, their vestibular health. And he saw the value in it because the traditional eye doctors didn't want to address this. So I ended up getting a contract at a few hospitals in the area and started working for a company called Remed. And this led to then working with special needs kids who had cerebral palsy and Down syndrome. And so I did a research study, and I found that this type of physical therapy I was doing actually accessed a certain neuroplasticity. And part of the change occurred in the brain because I offered exercises that we're going to do tomorrow that help improve our focus. That focus was an important part in improving your concentration, and that was one of the stimulating factors in neuroplasticity. So I have much more to say about neuroplasticity, and through my blogs, both written and video, I'll be talking about those. Now, if you want to ask me questions, you can always send me an email, hello@drsamberne.com. But now you can text me your questions, and that number is 1-844-932-1291. So text me your question, and I'll do my best to answer it. Well, that's our show for today. I want to thank you so much for tuning in. Until next time, take care.